All right, people, what is going on? Good afternoon. Just wrapped up the post-game stream over on Bleacher. And even after having a little bit of time to soak this one in and really think about what went down today, I still kind of feel the same way about it because there's only one way to feel about a game like that. That was something that doesn't come around all that often. They don't give away these ones for free. That was a true blue blowout in an NFL game. And you can say whatever you want to say about the Saints. They're not a good team this year. They'll only win a few games this year in all likelihood. You can say whatever you want about the game flipping on a couple of big aberration type plays. But games like that don't happen very often in the NFL. It's not often you see a team beat another team by 31 points. That's a college score. That's a college result. This was something that as a Seahawks fan, I am going to cherish. And I said this in the post-game stream. It reminded me of those games that we would have in 2012 and 2013 where we would get a bad team. We would get a matchup against a team that just didn't have a lot going on. And we wouldn't mess around. We'd just go in there, blow them out. We'd have the backups in by the fourth quarter. The other team would have their backups in by the fourth quarter. And they left no doubt. And that's the kind of game that we kind of didn't see a lot in some of the more recent years. Every now and then, maybe you can find a blowout game, but even in some of those games, it didn't really feel like this one did. So, yeah, it's the Saints, but you can still learn something by how a team takes care of their easier opponents. Please give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, click the bell, become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to support. Going to have some stuff going live on Bleacher all week as well. Check me out over on the Bleacher Report app or website through the Seahawks page. Okay, let's talk about this game as much as we can. Although it's going to be, it's one of those games where there's so little to be concerned about or unhappy about. It definitely starts to just turn into like a glaze session after a little while. So let me start with, to me, the biggest element of this game, because there were a lot of big things that happened in this game, but I'm going to start with one guy in particular because I and a lot of other Seahawks fans have been critical of this guy, and we've been wondering about this guy, Jay Harbaugh. And he could not have done better than he did today. That was about as good as it gets for a special teams coach. You had, obviously, the punt return. Obviously, you had the punt block. But Jason Myers made all of his kicks, field goals and extra points. We had, I think, 2 good kick returns. Derek Young almost broke one for a touchdown. And our coverage on kicks and punts were mostly pretty good. I think they may have had one pretty good return in garbage time, so whatever. That was something that'll definitely get people to quiet down for a little while, because we've been wondering. Last year, special teams, not so great. Last year, the special teams was rough. Preseason, we weren't quite so sure. Were we headed down the right track or not there? Hard to know. Saw some stuff in the preseason that we didn't love. But so far this year, other than the blocked field goal against Pittsburgh, this special teams unit has gotten it done. And speaking of something that gets things done, let me tell you about Sleeper. Before I go any further into this, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. Have you heard about the Sleeper app? It is the best way to experience and connect over sports together with other users. It's a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. Go download the app now. You can celebrate and chat on games in real time with others. You can get the fastest scores, news, and alerts, all that right at your fingertips. And of course, you can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So you can enjoy sports the way they were meant to be, together. Download the #1 sports app today. And when you go, use promo code SBN, that is SBN, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. So check out Sleeper today. Don't forget promo code SBN. All right, welcome back. And it's not just the big plays either. There was one play late in this game that really caught my attention, and there wasn't a lot in this game that caught my attention after the second half started. Just being honest, like the whole second half was just running out the clock. But there was one play where New Orleans punted it, and the kick was short, and Torrey Horton ran up to it and caught it on the move in traffic, and it was no problem. That's the kind of thing we didn't have last year with D. Williams. That's the kind of thing it feels like we haven't had in a while. Somebody that can just run under the ball there and snatch it in traffic, under duress, and there's nothing to it. It's just normal football stuff. It's not, oh, they're terrified because they see the ball coming down and they're scared of it. No, he just ran underneath it and caught it. And that's the kind of thing that stands out in a half like that. So, huge shout out to Jay Harbaugh. That was as good as it gets. And at the end of the year, that is definitely a game you're going to come back to when you're making decisions on some of these coaches. Obviously, if he keeps it up, then we don't have anything to worry about, except maybe losing him for a head coaching job, I guess. He is a Harbaugh, but seriously, though, that is one that's going to stick with you for a while because that was dominance. And like I said, so far through 3 games, there really hasn't been a big special teams problem on this team yet. Okay, moving on from that, defense. Look, people are going to get frustrated with the lack of sacks. We had 2 sacks in this game, right? We had 2 sacks on Rattler, but the Saints, they do that really good job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And I thought we did a good job putting pressure on Rattler. We hit him multiple times. We forced him out of the pocket multiple times. We forced him to hurry his decision-making. I think the pass rush is there. I think the pass rush numbers are going to come out looking pretty good. I know the lack of sacks is a little bit frustrating, but to me, this is a team that is built to put up monster pressure numbers, and eventually the sacks will come. That's just how football works. Eventually, the sacks will be there. I mean, it's possible that part of the issue is that with all these injuries we have in the secondary, we're playing a little bit soft back there, and that's allowing these quarterbacks to get the ball out quicker. So maybe once we get some of these secondary guys back, we'll start to see some of this pressure turn into actual sacks. So I'm not worried about that. I thought the pressure was great today. And the thing that really stands out looking at the way this game ended up, Chris Olave had 14 targets and 57 receiving yards. That's like 4 yards a target. He had less than 6 yards per catch, but he had about 4 yards a target. That is not Chris Olave football. That speaks to how quickly we were forcing the Saints to get the ball out of Rattler's hands. And the Saints, you could say they like to do that anyway, but they wouldn't do it if they didn't have to. Believe me, I'm sure they want to unleash some of Chris Olave's downfield abilities, and they can't. Even a guy like Rashid Shaheed, 6 targets, 42 yards. Jawan Johnson, 8 targets, 51 yards. They are not able to get to that part of their offense. And in fairness, that has more to do with the Saints than it does us, but it certainly had something to do with us today. Run defense, pretty much locked down. Kamara never got free for anything, really. Didn't have any carries over 10 yards. Kendre Miller, okay game. But the tackling for the most part was good. I thought there were a lot of standout performers on the defense for the Seahawks. Doesn't necessarily show up in any over-the-top way, but I thought that Kobe Bryant played a really good game. Very aggressive attacking the backfield several times in this game. Really like that. Darion Kendrick, excuse me, I'm getting my names mixed up now, but Kendrick, he had the pick. He should have had another pick, making a lot of plays on the ball, doing good things. I know Josh Joe picked up penalties in this game, but to me, the penalties were kind of soft. I'm not seeing anything super negative with him. I'm not seeing anything with him that I really dislike in this game. I still think he's doing awesome work out there. Very happy with all that. I think that there is Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy. Both those guys look good to me out there. Leonard Williams picked up the penalty, which again, look, I don't really care because all these penalties came after the game was pretty much over. But there were some penalties in this game that I'm sorry. I need to file a complaint or something because there was a chance for some historic dominance in this game, and the Saints got some free ones. And it was a little bit frustrating. It didn't affect the outcome of the game. I'm not going to act like that, but there was definitely a series of calls that I thought were pretty soft. Luckily, the Saints were the team that racked up all the penalties when it actually mattered, and the Seahawks only racked them up after the game was pretty much decided. Ernest Jones looked good to me. Tyrese Knight looks better and better every week. I think that he's probably getting to the point where he's basically 100% healthy and just ready to go. Derek Hall drew another holding penalty, so he's doing his thing, even though he's not getting the numbers yet, which is what we've been talking about for a while now. Okada, I'm not saying Okada played a great game, but he's out there gutting it out, and he did make some plays out there, and he did do some good things, so hi Okada. I'll give him a little bit of love as well, and he's not a guy that I necessarily want to be a big part of anything we're doing this year, but hey, Okada, I think he led the team in tackles. They're very close. So great stuff, man. And look, you're playing the Saints with a beat-up offensive line. I understand it. They had they got Kelvin Banks at left tackle. I don't know if Kelvin Banks is really a left tackle in this league. And then they had their backup right tackle out there. It is, to a certain extent, easy pickings. But you still got to go out there and execute. You still got to go out there and do it. And they did. They made plays on fourth down early in that game. The Saints tried to go for it on fourth down a couple times, and we made the play every time we needed to. So there's not much else to be said about this defense, man. That's a special unit right now. And I know that they aren't quite looking dominant yet, but I think the seeds for dominance are there, and they will come. And the offense, we'll go ahead and wrap the video up with them because that was the one part where you did have some sign of concern. And I'll just go ahead and lead with it. The running game is still not there yet. We could not run the ball at all. Run blocking was really bad. Obviously, we had no Charbonnet. I don't know what Charbonnet would have done in this game that would have been better than Walker. I don't know what he's supposed to do when both of Walker's big carries in this game, he did have 2 big carries in this game. They both came back on holding penalties. So that's an issue because this formula, the formula for this offense is to run the ball. You got away with it this week because you were playing the Saints to a certain extent. Better teams, you're going to have to find a way to run the ball. And for the most part today, he was just getting swarmed in the backfield and he's got no chance to do anything. So I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know if this is just an issue where teams are going to have to learn to respect JSN as a downfield threat because he has made several downfield plays so far this season. Maybe this is just them playing up in the box because they want to force Horton and JSN to make plays down the field before they actually give us the respect of that. But right now, they can't really run the ball. There was a little bit of success against Pittsburgh. Even that was not really consistent success. It was boom or bust success. So that's the one part of this team coming out of this game that you have to wonder about because against better teams, I don't believe that this formula can have success if we can't run the ball. So 87 yards on 33 carries is not cutting it. We tried to do the Jalen Milroe Wildcat again. Not much going on there. It was just kind of goofing around at that point. Charbonnet being back will help, but I don't think it makes that big of a difference. Beyond that, though, the pass protection was great. Like, this offensive line, they haven't figured out the run blocking yet, but they can pass protect. They are keeping Darnold very clean back there. And Darnold played a really good game, or at least a very efficient game, right? The game was over so quickly, it kind of felt like Darnold turned into a handoff machine, and then he didn't even get to play the fourth quarter, so we didn't get to pad his stats. But in terms of actual effectiveness of doing what we needed him to do, can't ask for much more than that. 4 incompletions the whole game. The game is 21-0 before Darnold even really gets a chance to do that much. Like, you blink and it's 21-0. Darnold's made 2 big passes and it feels like the game's already over. So that's what you want. That's really what you want. You don't want your quarterback to have to throw for 450 yards so you can win a game. You don't want your quarterback to have to throw 7 touchdowns so you can win a game. You want him to be able to have a game like this where he throws the ball 18 times and you get the easy win. I'm a little bit bummed. I know it doesn't matter, but I'm a little bit bummed JSN didn't get to 100 yards. He could have led off the season with 300-yard games, which would have been, but he did have another great game, and he continues to show that he is a downfield threat. He is somebody who, if you let him make plays down the field, if you give him that opportunity, he can do it. He's not fast in a straight line, but he finds ways to get open, kind of like Tyler Lockett used to do back in the day. In a different way, I think, but it's the same basic idea where you don't need straight line speed to be a downfield threat. Torrey Horton, a little bit of a breakout game for him. Made several nice plays on offense, including catching the touchdown, which was a great catch. Still not seeing a lot of the tight ends in the offense. I did notice Barner had a really nice catch in this game, but that is another element to this offense that I think is just going to have to be a work in progress, and it is a little bit odd that we go through another game where it feels like Arroyo is a complete afterthought. But again, the game was over so quick, we didn't even get to those parts of our playbook, it felt like. So even that's kind of like, that could have just been circumstantial. So I don't even know. It is one of those things where you don't want to be over you don't want to overreact to it, because for all you know, they had plans and then the game was over so quick. You kind of throw the plans out and you just start trying to run the clock out. But yeah, guys, great game. There's not much more you can ask for from a football team. 44-13. And again, the Saints scored their touchdown in garbage time. It was fourth quarter, 44-6. They got one. Like, good for them, but that's not like real football. You can't put that in real football terms. So 44-13, 44-6, whatever you want to call it. The point is, it's a beatdown. And those don't come around every day in the NFL. It could be years before the Seahawks blow out any team like that ever again. That's not me criticizing the team. That's just the way the NFL works. You don't have a lot of games like this. All right, so I'm going to get this video up, and I'm going to be streaming tonight, probably during the second half of Sunday Night Football. And we'll talk more about this game over on YouTube, Facebook, and X. I'll be live on all three places. But there's not a lot to say, guys. That was dominant. That was a very, very impressive way to announce yourself as a dangerous team in a way that I don't even think they did last week against Pittsburgh. We've seen that Pittsburgh is a very mediocre team this year. So beating them is great. I mean, don't get me wrong, but this, it's like there's another gear now. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks.